Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. He's moving through the city with the camera in his hand, keeping our city informed as much as he can. In the city where we live, breaking news from left to right. Time for us to come together. He's the ears and eyes at night. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. Media is 97 on ActionEyeNews.com. CNET.com. Bringing it to you live. Yeah, we got the story on ActionEyeNews.com.
Welcome everybody, it's me again, that crazy guy with the lazy eye, and this broadcast is brought to you by our sponsor Deal Buster over at 1913 East Florida Avenue in Hemet. Deal Busters gives you all the crazy deals 6 days a week, folks. So Friday's the big day. You always want to check out those Friday days, folks. And so they help us with equipment that we need, so I always give them a shout out on our live streams here at Hemet Eye News. So today we're going to be interviewing the mayor of Hemet. We finally got him in the studio. Dennis had to pull a lot of hair, you know, but we were managed to get it going. So we do have Mayor here in the studio. So let's go ahead and get this party started and find out what Mayor Malcom has up his sleeve and what he's got to say about what's happening in Hemet. Dennis, go ahead, and the
Thank
floor
you,
is
Eddie.
yours.
I want to introduce a new series that we're starting here at Hemet Eye News called "Learning About Your Elected Leaders," and Malcolm and Joe Males are our first two interviewees for this new series. But we hope to go through all the elected leaders in the valley. We've got 5 city councilmen down here in Hemet and 5 more in San Jacinto. So we're starting out with Hemet. It's a little closer, but we hope to cover San Jacinto as well. And so we're here with Malcolm B. Lilienthal Jr. Everybody wants to know what the B is. Maybe he'll tell us at some point in the interview.
You will be finding out later when he's ready, right?
Maybe he's like Harry S. Truman. It was just an S with no period after it, you know. And we'd like you to just tell us a little bit to begin with about who you are, what's going on in your life, and kind of how it feels to be mayor of a city of 90,000. Hemet grew up to a pretty big-sized city, and here you are mayor since what? December? Was that December? That
Yes, December 2021.
Yeah. Right.
The council was gracious enough to appoint me as the mayor. I'd have to believe it was part of being mayor pro tem in succession. I'd be mayor. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. My middle name is Bernard.
Bernard.
So
okay. That solves the mystery. I'll write that down.
My first name is Scottish, and my last name is. I never looked up my middle name, but my last name is German Jewish. Mm-hmm. So it means Lily of the Valley.
Right.
Well, we got him as the Lily of the Valley in Hemet right now as the mayor. So.
Yeah.
Being a German major, I knew that Thal tall is Valley and Lillian is Lily. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was born in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. 6 months later, I moved to Okinawa, Japan. Spent about 2 years there, and because my father was in the military, served in the Marines 26 years, and we were going back and forth between Okinawa and the States. Japan is the only overseas with my dad that I've been to, and it was in between Arizona, California, and Okinawa that I spent most of my life. Finished high school in Oceanside, California. I graduated at El Camino High,
Oh, okay.
and then you know, got a bachelor's degree from Cal Baptist in psychology, master's degree from Argosy University, and then I started a doctorate program, and then the school closed because I guess some of the higher ups were mismanaging the money, and so
Oh, school went bankrupt?
yeah.
So what do they do with all your units and credits? Are they transferable
So-
to another school?
The loans, the units, all of that. So as a contingency, right? If my loans were forgiven, I have to completely start over any doctorate program. You know, I was halfway through, so I decided to go ahead and take that route and have the loans forgiven as a result of the mismanagement. And so it's like I'm half. Like I have all this knowledge that a doctor would have in psychology, but
Just don't have it on paper.
you know what I mean.
We don't.
So that's why sometimes I say things differently than a master's degree
Right.
student would. But I'm married 2 years. This will be our 3rd year anniversary coming up May 25th, and just recently had a daughter about 7 weeks ago. I think it's 7 weeks ago, so it's January 27th. 4 kids total. My son Malcolm is named after me. He is 15, just turned 15 in February. I have a daughter. Her name is Mariah. She turned 12 in January 18th, and then I have Donovan, who everyone usually sees me around with.
Right.
He'll be 2 in April.
Big
April
two.
20th.
Big two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
he's very
kind of
Wait
laugh.
till he hits those terrible threes, Malcolm.
Yeah, he's a character. He already has his personality.
right.
Yeah, and then Adelaide, our youngest, 7 weeks ago. Yeah, and she's a joy. I got our first smile on camera.
Oh,
You know, so that was cool.
A lot of firsts.
Actually, she smiled before, but I the first time I caught it.
right.
Yeah.
And so
What
yeah.
was her first word?
She isn't her first word.
Yeah. Was it dada or mama?
She hasn't.
or-
She's not speaking yet. She's not,
not
there
in
yet.
7 weeks.
Yeah.
Not 7 weeks.
So she keeps me up at night. So sometimes if I look a little tired, hasn't gotten that. She sleeps all day and
And
kinda,
keeps daddy up all night.
So so mom can get some sleep. I'll take the nights because I usually stay up late. So I'll just take the nights, either reading her the council meeting.
She's going to bore that poor baby at a young age.
It puts her to sleep. I guess,
Way it works. I fall asleep during the
One time-
council
one
meeting.
time I
So.
called you late at night. Do you remember that night?
Yeah.
I called you late at night, and he didn't answer. I kept calling. Finally, he answered. Hello. And I finally said,
She was
I said,
crying and
Malcolm, is there something wrong? Because you don't sound very happy.
Yeah, this
I'm
baby
feeding
won't
the
go to
baby.
sleep.
I'm trying to get her to go to sleep, and then the
Right.
phone kept. She was almost asleep. It rang. And I was like,
Thank you, Dennis.
Right. I didn't.
should have had it off. But how does he know, right?
Right.
But yeah.
So Eddie, you got questions for Malcolm here?
Well, getting into, let me see here. I got some notes over here. You done an introduction. Let's get into the city. I know we have a lot of people talking about the Black History Month and stuff. I wanted to know what has the city done to acknowledge our Black History Month?
So I think they did a really good job this year. So what they did on the face page was every day they notated something about Black history. Either it was someone who invented something or just some kind of fun fact about Black history. Another thing they did, which I thought was really gracious of the city, was to acknowledge me as the first Black mayor, Black everything,
That's
right?
what I-
Council member, mayor pro tem,
Right.
Right.
mayor, of the city of Hemet, and they, they presented me with a proclamation. They even did it on when I first got in, but they really highlighted it, and then also wrote in a column about me that you can also see on the Hemet face page, the City of Hemet face page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What went through your mind? I know I was there at the city council meeting. You were actually the mayor pro tem at the time, and we got Joe Mills back into the office. He got in a seat, and then you got nominated as the mayor, and then you won the election as mayor and got to swap seats as the mayor. What went through your mind that night when they said that you found out you're now the new mayor?
So whenever I receive information, what you'll notice about me is it takes me a very long time to process what's happening. And I was just, the biggest thing, I was nervous because I'm like, okay, now I have to lead this.
Right.
What is going to happen?
How do I run this?
Am I going to make a fool of myself? And it's there's something courageous about that when you do something new, that you're kind of a fool at first, and then as you kind of get to know what's going on, then you become better and better and better. You hope, right? You have people around you that tell you the truth. Hey, you should do this better, or hey, you should do this less, and then that helps you kind of focus on what you need to do, so that you can articulate yourself as best you can in whatever you're doing.
I know that look on your face. I know I had my camera right on you, and your face was like, "Oh my God, really? Oh no, what am I going to do here?"
Yeah.
Well, the whole evening was full of surprises.
It was. That night was.
Russ Brown nominated you.
Yeah.
That surprised a few people. You then nominated Linda Krupa, and then everybody voted for you.
Yeah.
So it was quite an interesting night.
Yeah.
And a good night for him, I think.
For me, it's about unity on the council. I know we all have, we all see life differently. We see politics differently. We see the city differently. We have our certain values and things like that. But for me, it's about just unity. Can we work together?
Why can't we all just get along? That's right.
And I think you do. There have not been that many votes that have been voted down. Usually there's maybe one dissent. A lot of times it's unanimous. So obviously you've achieved that. Well, since you became mayor, what
Let
let
me tell you guys this. Shout out to Carly, Russ, and this was at the time, right? I'm not going to say Joe because he wasn't on the council at the time, but it's Linda, Russ, and Carly really held my hand. In some of the meetings, you can see me like Carly, while someone's saying like, "What should I do in this?" If this keeps going on, or and they'll kind of slide me a note. You can do this, you could do that, and so they really welcome me. I mean, this could have been something where let's nominate him and let him fall on his face, kind of thing. So I really appreciate how they've really kind of helped me during this time, because like I'm not a politician. I've never I've understood politics, but I've never been in it like how I am, and so to have these people kind of say, hey, this is it's kind of like almost like a little family. We might bicker amongst each other just like a family, and it's kind of a beautiful thing. So I just wanted to let everybody know that the council supports me being mayor right now, and it's very heartwarming.
Good. So what kinds of things have been accomplished in the city of Hemet with this new city council?
So in the year 2021, we adopted what they call the strategic plan, which talks about quality of life. It talks about economic opportunity, community engagement, partnership and collaboration, and organizational effectiveness. And when I was running, I noticed that the city of Hemet didn't have a vision or mission statement, and I wanted to make sure that happened, because it seemed like the city was just kind of doing random things. That was one of the things that really kind of stood out was it seemed like the city was doing these random things and it didn't really have a direction. And so I thought it would be good because looking at Temecula and Marietta's website, they have a whole vision statement and a mission on there. And so I thought maybe that's the first thing we could do, when we get in there and kind of get solidified. And so we worked on that. We invited the community out to have their input, and it seemed like it matched everyone in collaboration. It matched because we all went out and found out what our constituents want to focus on. And so we incorporated that. We had this thing happen at the library where everybody came in and wrote on these boards.
Right, we were there.
Yeah,
right,
we were actually there covering that.
Sure.
And so we took the entire, well, not the entire community, but who was available, who was present at the time, all into consideration, and came up with a strategic plan that is actually going to be the you could say the Bible or the direction for the city of Hemet. And so we have a lot of goals to improve the quality of life, to improve the economic opportunity, because we want to ensure that Hemet's a hub with access to jobs and shopping, better shopping, and a varied and sustained tax base to support all these programs. We want to really focus on community engagement, so we're working on communication. It is horrible right now. I'll be the first one to tell you our communication from the city to our constituents is very horrible. So I try to do my best to go around to kind of let everybody know what's happening, going to different HOAs and speaking at different churches and kind of giving people an update on what's happening. So I'm excited. Another thing is the partnership and collaboration. So how can the city and nonprofits work together to ensure that at least increase the opportunities available to the community, including for our business, the unemployed, and youth populations.
Right.
We got a program that's being constructed right now that will have internships for students to come in, and a group from Talkwitz High actually reached out to me and to see how they could get involved. So there are a lot of businesses are actually communicating with us saying that they want to get involved.
Right.
It's really exciting right now.
And we also are looking for people to work as interns here in the studio as well, too, through the Cops for Kids. So we got a lot of projects that they can work with.
It sounds like some of these city projects are not just the city doing the work, but working with the citizens.
Yeah, because that was one thing we wanted. The biggest thing right now in our leadership is we're trying to empower the citizens, our nonprofits, to kind of take this back. We talk about we love Hemet. A lot of people grew up here, and a lot of people have a serious love for this place. And if you say anything bad about it, it's like almost
They'll
like talking
go
about
off
their
on
mother,
it. Exactly.
And so we're right now. The leadership right now. We're trying to encourage citizens to really, stand up and say, how do I want to get involved? Nonprofits, how do I want to get involved? So that they can take leadership roles and things like that. And that's how we collaboratively, if a nonprofit comes to us and say, hey, what's one of the big problems in the city of Hemet, or here's a list of problems, is there any nonprofit or any group out there that can tackle it?
Right.
Good. So do you want to tell us about any other outstanding projects that have been going on that you feel good about that have happened?
We started the city cleanups.
Okay, city cleanups. Pretty successful.
We had one on April 17th last year. We had one December 18th, and so we had 170 vehicles come through on April 17th, and this is always hosted at the library, where CNR lines up several trash receptacles and trucks, where you can come and take your the mattresses that you want to throw away, the couches you want to throw away.
Instead of throwing them alongside the road, bring them down there.
Right.
This was an attempt for us to educate the city or the citizens of Hemet to save all of your trash and not dump it illegally somewhere, and wait for one of these dates to come so that you can get rid of it. And then also it gives people who live in apartments an opportunity, because CR&R does not do bulk pickup for apartment complexes, which is something we're trying to see if we could work on. But we had one on February 12th, which 207 vehicles. We had 30.85 tons of trash, 2.5 tons of metal, 4.26 tons of e-waste, and then 37.63 is the whole the total of tonnage.
Yeah.
But and then our next one is April 16th.
That was the big question. When's it going to happen again? April 16th. Okay.
And then we have another one June 18th.
And what's the times during the day? That
So they'll be from 8 in the morning till 12.
8 till noon.
Yeah.
Okay. And where is that again? That they're going to bring?
So
that?
right behind the library.
On the west side of the library.
Yeah, if you're if you're standing in front of the library, it'd be kind of on the back side of it.
Backside.
So it's like over
adjacent
there
to
by,
Simpson Center.
yeah, close to the, right across the street from the Sales drugstore, like
Yeah,
that
it's
corner in that
the
old
road that
parking
the
lot.
old farmers market used to.
Yeah,
run.
the
Right,
old-
there you
yeah.
go. The
That's on
front
that
street, I
angle
think
there.
they used to call it, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's good news. Anything else that you're proud of that's happened?
We signed an agreement with a company called CityNet,
Oh yeah.
who is they're actually going out and like twos, where they go out and talk to the homeless to see if they can get them off the streets. They came up with this report that said that they had 200. They found that it was 217 individuals that they counted, and it wasn't a point in time count because it was over 2 days. But they talked about 70% of individuals who are homeless have no income. 27% of the individuals who are homeless do have income, but 76 of the individuals who have income earn 500 or more a year. 52 of the respondents are not receiving any kind of CalFresh. 91 of the individuals reported that they primarily sleep in Hemet, and 48% reported that their last permanent residence was in Hemet. 3 minor children were reported to be staying with some of the individuals, and then 79 of the respondents were interested in case management. So that's a really high number.
Yeah.
80% was interested in case. And what they do is they set these people up with wraparound services. We allocated money for 40 beds at our local hotels, and what they do is they start to give them wraparound services to get them more into self-sufficiency. And so in December, they were able to get 2 people off the street. In January, they were able to get 9, and in February, they did another 9. So far, they've been successful at getting 20 people off the street towards permanency off the street, you know?
Now, I have a question about that with those statistics. Did they find out for the homeless that are here, how many of those homeless people are basically Hemet people that grew up in Hemet, went to school here, and became homeless here, and how many came in from the outside?
So
Do you feel of that?
the community ties is 91% reported being from Hemet.
Really, that high?
We had 0.6 Moreno Valley, 1.1% from, and again, these numbers are based on this 2-day count. There could be, so they counted 217, right? It could be plus.
They-
I would say plus, not minus.
Sure, they didn't get them all.
And then 0.6 from Temecula, 1.7 from other Riverside cities or in the county. We had 2.8 from that were outside of the county, and then 2% refused to tell us.
Yeah, I think I got a picture right here. I just shot up here. I'm just going to throw it over us. We were actually out here while these guys were actually going out and dealing with the homeless here in the riverbed, and they
Yeah.
were taking count, making sure they had a head count on everybody. So it's just one of the
And that's
deputies.
actually that's in the county. That's not even in San Jacinto. the
Exactly.
riverbed.
So they're
county.
hitting him and San Jacinto.
Well, doesn't
so.
that kind of put the lie to the common belief that all these homeless people came in here from somewhere else? And
Yeah.
they aren't on us. We do a good job here, and these are all people drifting in for somewhere else. It doesn't.
And I'm glad you brought that
That's
up,
the
Dennis,
case.
because, you know, this is going to go towards the whole, not just the mayor, but the whole city council. We've been having a lot of people, and I know you probably followed on our Hemet News page and, you know, all over social media, that people are saying that the city of Hemet is getting a kickback for every homeless person that they get dumped here in the
Yeah.
city.
Yeah,
And,
you hear
you know, I wanted people to hear it from you as the mayor. What is your comments and replies to that?
Well, the first thing I did was look through the city budget to
Right.
find the line item.
Right.
I can't find the line item, so, you know, without the data, I can't say that it's true, right? I can't say something under the table is happening, but I can say that there is no line item that's saying that Hemet's getting some kind of kickback. What it looks like is wherever a person gets arrested and then they get released from prison, they have to come back to the area.
Right.
So sometimes when they come back, it seems like we're getting more, but it's because they done the crime some time back, and so that's what it looks like. You know, we do get. I don't know if it's AB 109, but we do get monies from the state of California as a result, because when they released everyone, it was monies to help fund the police department to supervise people that were released.
Now, is the police department actually getting this money, or is it just being saved in an account like Measure U?
It's not. It's not being saved in an account like Measure U. It's being
According to other
spent.
people, you know.
So what it does is it funds. So when a officer goes out for like supervisor to supervise or to, you know, check on a parolee or something like that.
Right.
That time, their salary is paid with that money.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? So it kind of supplements.
Yeah.
So
Especially
that's
with
why
all the
sometimes you'll
overtime.
see like in Measure U where it seems like so in Measure U is funny because it looks like there's money in it, but there really isn't because it's been earmarked. And sometimes it looks like there's savings because a position that's funded through it isn't filled.
Right.
So then it looks like there's a savings. It's not really a savings. It's just there was money allocated towards a certain amount of officers, but because it's less, it looks like a saving.
It's
You know what I mean?
It's really a deferred expense. They haven't expended it yet.
Yeah.
Because they can't. What's happening with the police department? Are they achieving their recruitment goals in terms of staffing levels that they're targeting?
That's a really difficult question to answer. We did just recently hire 2 officers.
Oh, good.
It's the climate right now is no one wants to be a police officer because there's this kind of animosity towards law enforcement right now. And so, I mean, why would you? We're having a hard time hiring people because people don't want that trouble, you know, putting your life on the line like that. And it's just hard, you know, and so we're trying to be creative about it because there are still people who are interested in law enforcement. I even applied for the Hemet Police Department, but we're trying to get like laterals from places where they had to get like the COVID shot, but we're not enforcing it over here. So we're trying to be strategic like that, and but the way our pay structure is, it's not really appealing. I'll just be honest with you, and so we just gave a raise, and now they're kind of in the middle. You know what I mean?
You pulled them up to the middle.
They're
of the
back.
range.
They're not last anymore. They're kind of in the
Good.
middle,
Good.
and they're from what it seems like they're happy with it. But it seems like it's still not enough to entice laterals to come over. And that's another thing is we would rather have laterals, but your brand new people have to go through like
All the
training and stuff, and it takes a year. And then let's say you even pass all the background and everything like that, it doesn't even guarantee you that you're going to get in. And so, like right now, we have 13 officers in the works to be hired,
Right.
but not all of them are going to
make it
Make
you know
it
what I
through.
mean? Yeah. And so, yeah, and then if all 13 did make it, it would meet the chief's goal.
Yeah.
You know, because it's hard to hire about 13 right now.
Right.
So if all 13 get in, you know, that'll, you know, but to be creative, they've figured out to use their community service officers. So when an officer shows up to, you know,
like
something
a traffic
happened,
accident or
they can take off, do something else, and the CSOs come and take the reports.
Right.
You know
Yeah,
what I
we've
mean?
seen a lot, and also like car theft reports. You know, I noticed that they send the CSO out to cover that, and that way these other officers that that can handle the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know
how
that
about
you
we-
would not want a
Yeah.
CSO to involved in.
And I'll tell you guys something. Our officers are busy. I did a ride along, and we were all night.
Oh yeah, and people should watch our videos. You know, we're out there with our
Yeah.
police, and we're showing you the crazy stuff they deal with.
all
you know?
night. I mean, the first call I arrived on. I don't know if you guys remember this, but someone hit a fire hydrant on Florida because he was dodging two cars that crashed in front of him, and he went onto oncoming traffic, ran over the fire hydrant next to Denny's, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Somebody
then-
said actually the fire hydrant jumped out in front of him. You know, fire hydrants
He
get
shaved
blamed for it, right?
He shaved the entire thing off, and he was so embarrassed he just stayed in the car the entire time.
I wouldn't blame him.
You know, he got out to get IDs and speak to the officers.
Yeah.
But then we got a call. A guy was running from an officer, and we had to jump in the car. We go down there, and then we apprehend this guy. And I'm asking him. When I get there, he's yelling, "I didn't do anything." And the first thought I had was, "Why did you run?"
Right?
You know, if you know you didn't do anything, why didn't you run? Because you can get a badge number. If you feel like they're doing wrong to you, you can get a badge number and a name, and then come back the next day and get an investigation going.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's like
Yeah.
the right way so that you don't escalate it. And I'm pretty sure they probably would have just let this guy go, you know, just checking him out or whatever. But he has the evading and the resisting charges, and it's like maybe a $25 ticket for not having a light on your bike. You know, now it's like now you got to do some time.
And now,
or
see,
something,
when you
know what I
run,
mean?
you make it worse.
And so I always try to encourage. I'll be honest with you guys. I've been pulled over by the Hemet Police Department so many times. Maybe because I didn't have my light wasn't shining on my license plate, or I didn't
Right.
have the license plate on the front of the car, or my windshield was cracked, or one time I got pulled over because I had a tree in my rearview mirror. But they just let, you know what I mean? Sometimes they would ask me to search the car, and this was times when I didn't. I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't have a license. So there were times when I didn't have all three: license, registration, or insurance. I
Oh,
was
you're a
behind on
bad
all of them.
boy.
And they would, all right, man, have a good day.
And you're still here with us.
You know what I mean? I never had a.
You know, it's always how you respond to the police officers. When these police officers, approach you or pull you over, as soon as they walk up to the car, and if you throw that attitude out and that disrespect
yeah.
out, you're going to get it right back, and
Yeah.
they're going to throw the book at you. But if you be polite, respectful, you're going to get that respect
Right.
back. And sometimes you might
Or
get
just
away
the
with no ticket. Yeah, exactly.
And then you're about your business.
Now, I have another question in my little reporter's notebook about the police. We hear it's sort of a national story that the police are called upon to be the mental health officers of the community because there is inadequate mental health services. What's happening here in Hemet? Do the police handle all the domestic disputes and the mental health issues, or do we have other people in the police department that relieve them, that are better trained like you are as a therapist?
They don't relieve them, but we do have 2 county workers, mental health individuals who go with our police officers out there on calls.
All right.
And that's a really cool. And the county's trying to build that program up more because it's being really successful. And this is more geared towards when someone's having a psychotic break on the street, and someone's calling. It just looks like he's doing circles on the middle of Florida. Then that particular officer will be dispatched with that psychologist, and then that person gets services instead of going to jail. So that's
Excellent.
a really good
Well, that's what we need.
program.
That's what we need.
When they expand it, it'll move to what you're talking about.
Good. I have a related question, which is over in the fire department, which is practically on the same compound next to the library. How is the fire department doing? Are they staffed up properly, or are they also looking for people over
They're
there?
also trying to recruit and look for people too. The city of Hemet is very understaffed. and they are doing the best. The public works, our departments are working so hard, trying, and they're doing like the jobs of like 7 people. You know, when I go down there and kind of just see what they're going through, you know, it's kind of amazing. I haven't been to all departments yet, but the ones that I've been to, you're just like, man, they have to do so much work, and then they're away from the phone, and because we have this antiquated phone system, it doesn't get forward to their cell phones. So then they're trying to play catch up. They've just been trying to play catch up this entire time,
Right.
and then we come with this strategic plan and kind of here's something new, guys.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're piling stuff on them all the time, and I have to give kudos to them because they just truck on and keep going, you know. But I did hear some sentiments that the strategic plan does help in the way that now they have a focus, right? So they know they don't have to be all over the place with their work, but they have a focus. And the hardest part, they said, was that because it was new. There are a lot of things we're doing as a council that are kind of new to the staff that they haven't done before. And so it's a lot of this stuff that's taking a long time too. We're starting from scratch on stuff. You know what I mean? And there's just things that they have to be creative with. Like, for example, we had the opportunity to give out grants for like COVID, right? Through our, I think it was through our ARPA funds.
ARPA fund?
But some people didn't qualify.
Right.
So, you know, we got a little bit of collaboration with the San Jacinto. We use their the way they structured how a person gets eligible for a grant, and that streamlined it for our staff. And then also the people that were denied had an opportunity to be eligible because the San Jacinto had a document that we could, you know what I mean? So it wasn't really established over in Hemet, and they had to come up with this model, and then the model kind of didn't let everybody, you know, be eligible. And so, you know, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So like we're building new stuff with this strategic plan, and then it's, you know, it's like it's a lot of work.
Now, talking about the fire department, I'm glad you brought this up, Dennis. What is the city and the council planning on doing to help the fire department kind of remodel their living situation? Because, you know, I've been talking with a lot of our firefighters out here, and you know, I don't know if you took a tour of their firehouses out here, but a lot of their bathrooms are very messed up. You know, the walls, you can basically see outside through the walls. And I know the chief was telling me he wants me to come in and do a little walkthrough tour of all of our fire agencies out here. Is the city has any plans on, you know, using any of the Measure U money or coming up with some kind of idea to fix this for our firefighters?
Well, it depends on, when it comes to Measure U, it depends on who you're talking to, because if
Right.
we use that money to do something like that, then there's going to be an uproar of some citizens, and then there are other citizens that'll be like, hey, that's cool, because
Makes sense.
Do we have to have a barbecue fundraiser or something? I'd like to see this
almost the
happen for
safest
our guys, right?
but but I think and don't quote me on this, I'll come back to you guys with what we spent with this ARPA money, but I believe we set up something for them with the ARPA money.
That'd be
You
great.
know what I mean? And so when I come back with this list of what we allocated with that money, I believe they're in there somewhere.
Yeah, because I would love to see these firefighters have a comfortable place where they can reside, you know, when
Yeah.
they're not out on calls. And, you know, that is one of the biggest concerns that I've found from our firefighters. You know, I've
Must
been
be
talking with a lot of them, and they're like, we need something. We need some help. We
Well,
need to get
it
this
sounds
took
like a
care of.
morale killer if you're
Yeah.
taking a shower and you can see outside.
Right.
It would be awesome if the citizens of Hemet did do a fundraiser. I think that
I'll
would
put
mean
it together.
so,
If we can do it, let's
I think
do
that
it.
would mean so much to the fire, you know, and people do things all the time for them. They bring in donuts and snacks, and they talk about how people would drop off stuff, you know what I mean? But I
Right.
think if the citizens of Hemet really got together and said, because we're blessed to have our own police department and fire department. I don't think people really realize that. And sometimes they'll complain like it takes most of our budget but security is expensive. You know what I mean? And so if the citizens were to band together and do some kind of fundraiser, GoFundMe or whatever it looks like, and said, "Hey, we're going to gift this to the city of Hemet with 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 strict instructions that it only goes to revamp all 5 fire stations." You know what I mean? How that would mean so much morale with our firefighters that the city is behind them. You know what I mean?
If they'll allow to do it, I'll set it up.
You could, if you had $1 million, you could do whatever you want and give it to the city and tell the city where to spend it.
Right.
It's not
I'm
like
never
they
that
won't accept
lucky.
it.
I'm lucky
You
to
know
have
what
a
I mean?
million pennies, less than
But
$1 million.
if you had some money and you wanted it to go to something, you can give it. You can gift it to the city and then tell them where to spend it at.
Well, the police department has a couple of ways that people can get involved and help them. They got the cadets type Explore program for the youth. I think that's 18 to 21 or something like that.
And the fire department's starting one too.
I was going to ask you that because there's 2 things in the police. There's that, and then there's the volunteer police that are in the substations, right? That run the substations. But I haven't noticed anything over in the fire department like that.
No, Chief Hetty is working on. He has a lot of. He's trying to get into the Hemet school district to streamline them into
firefighters.
yeah, either paramedics or and then it's like he's trying to figure out how to collaborate with them to so they know what classes to take. Sometimes you don't know what classes to take, and you end up taking these extra classes that you didn't have to, but he knows the classes that you would have to take in high school and in college so that you're on track to becoming a firefighter or paramedic.
That'll be
The
cool.
matriculation process. Well, I've had several people when I was working with a Chronicle newspaper say, why can't the neighborhoods around the fire station adopt the fire station? Like we have Adopt the Block. Was there anybody talk about an Adopt the Fire Station program or citizens?
No, but that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Well, it's been floated. It isn't
That's
my
a really
idea.
good
I
idea.
can tell you, I'm
That's
just passing it on. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Here's the thing. Whatever committee is formed that does that would just have to create a memorandum of some kind of agreement with the city, because we want people to be protected, right? We don't want you to get involved in something and then all of a sudden you're hurt and it's like, well, if you weren't doing this stuff for the city, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you could get hurt physically or you could be sued, right?
Yeah.
Protected in a number
Can't win for losing on
So-
that situation.
So it's always important that when groups want to get involved with the city, that's why sometimes I encourage people, you don't necessarily have to come to the city to get the city's blessing on something, because when you involve the city, then you're going to involve this snail in your race.
Well, maybe we can speed up the snail.
And all this red tape that the government has to go through, that it created on its own self, that kind of slows things down. And if you did it out on your own, I mean, you could get grants, you could do things really fast. But with the city, agreement has to be made. The staff has to put this stuff together. Then it has to be given to Lego, and then Lego has to spend a week on it. And then after Lego passes it, then it goes to these levels of, okay, so this person approves it, but then the next level, this person doesn't approve it, so it goes right back to
Back to square one
what I mean?
again.
Yeah.
And then they make the changes, and it's something like, that's why in the strategic plan there's organizational effectiveness, because we're working on that. Like, why does it have to go back to square one? Can the person up here make the changes? If you know what I mean?
Right.
But those are things that we're working on to make it efficient, so that people, don't feel like they've asking for a permit and then 6 months later they're getting it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's another big thing that we are trying to work on too, besides the communication.
Well, can we then transition into what you're trying to work on for the future? We've talked about a number of accomplishments recently. What are the immediate plans for more good things to come?
Beautifying this place, and just making sure. So education on making sure that people know how they can get involved with us,
Right.
and then also asking the city, how are you getting information from us, and is it effective? What other ways can we do to promote whatever we're doing in the city? Because sometimes it sounds like people will say, I didn't know that you guys were having a strategic meeting, or I didn't know you guys were meeting, like having a special meeting on a Friday. And that's kind of unfortunate. And so, like, those are the things that we really want to work on. And again, the communication, and again, holding CityNet accountable, and then partnering with, like the county for different things. Like we just partnered with the county for a recovery center.
Can you partner with a service organization like Rotary or Kiwanis or?
We do it, and that's the thing is we do it all the time. Like, for example, we partnered with Rotary. Shout out to their president, Linda Krupa. They got that whole mural on the fire station, that 9/11.
9/11.
Beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And that's all done by Rotary. There are a lot of things happening in this valley that the Egos, Rotary, what's the one that starts with an E?
Exchange Club.
Exchange Club. They do all kinds of things.
And then Eddie's Moose Lodge.
Yeah, the Moose Lodge does a lot too for the kids in the
who are
community.
Those Mason guys, they're kind of a mysterious group down there in that.
They got a
Masonic
whole
lodge.
Masonic lodge by the hospital.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I seen
Yeah.
it down there.
And
What's the
that's
story
another.
about that?
They give out scholarships.
The Masons does a lot in this community.
And fundraising for schools. They do, but the most important thing is they take care of, like, let's say you don't have money to bury your family members. They help out with that too.
Oh my
You know what I
gosh,
mean?
That's great.
And so especially if you're if you are one, and you pass away, they'll take care of your spouse.
If you're a Mason,
Yeah. Yeah.
are you going to tell us what the secret handshake is?
No.
He will, but he has to kill you.
Just thought I'd ask.
Now,
Save
talking
money.
about mental health, I want to relapse on. I know we're had a lot of issues. People are concerned about this mental health rehab or drug rehab center that the council voted in with a special meeting. That
Oh, the
we're gonna be
recovery
having-
center.
The recovery
Recovery center.
center.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people are worried, Malcolm, that this is actually going to attract other people from different cities to come in. And then, like I say, they can come in. If they don't like it, they can leave at any time, and then they're on our streets, if they come from another street. What is your intake on that? How can you, I can't think of the word, how can you calm the people or reassure the people that this is going to be a benefit and not a disadvantage for our community to bring in other homeless?
Yeah. So what people are looking for is one of the 6 human needs of certainty, right? So we want to be certain about the future, Malcolm. So what I can tell everyone is there's a push in the state of California, as far as money is concerned, to revamp hotels, revamp other already established homeless shelters and things like that. So you see like the city of Corona, you see the city of Lake Elsinore, Temecula, Marietta, and all of these places are receiving money to build a type of shelter, right? And so it's not just Hemet. So one argument is we are the only ones that's going to have a shelter close by here, but Riverside has a lot of shelters. In there.
Right. So
They
that's
got the
what
Arlington there, and then the county itself isn't just going. They're not just building this one here in Hemet. If it even comes to fruition, that's another thing is people don't understand is we just gave a letter of support. It doesn't mean that they still have to get the grant. It doesn't mean that it's going to even happen.
Right.
And so, and they're just not going to build this one. They have 6 more on there that they're going to build. And so they're talking about these recovery centers to really help out with different areas. And they're trying to concentrate it so that homeless people aren't moving from city to city. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what I was telling
Yeah.
people. Maybe if they build this, and if it does happen in Hemet, it's
Yeah.
only be able to service just the people that
And-
already live in Hemet, that stays in Hemet.
And that was one thing we asked the county to do was, can you ensure that 60% of it be devoted to our homeless?
Homeless
Yeah.
situation.
Does that make sense? And so they will. And so with CityNet, what CityNet does, if they find out that a person is from somewhere else, they'll do their darndest to see if they can get them back home. Like one lady, they get off the street, they were able to get a plane ticket back to New York.
Right, and I'm glad you pulled that up too, because
way.
I know our Hemet Police Department has a program that if any of you guys or any, homeless people are out here, they have a place to go, but they just don't have that funds to get there, like a bus ticket. Let's say, Mary Jo has, family out in Texas or South Carolina that she could go to, and a police department can confirm that those people are aware that you're going to come, they will actually give you a bus ticket or somehow to get there, to help you.
And United Way does that too.
Yeah.
So another thing I could share with you guys is another reason why I was for this project is because we can then tighten our vagrancy laws.
Right.
Vagrancy, and we can't do anything right now because it's stipulated by the Supreme Court that it's not illegal to be homeless, and you can't do anything about it unless you have a place for them to go.
Right.
So if we put the place in Temecula, we put it somewhere else, then we have to just let them roam around and do whatever they do here. We can't do nothing with them. So if we have a place for them to go, then we can tighten our laws to make sure that they're not loitering and because some of our residents are telling us that they're getting either robbed by them or just it's like aggressive panhandling.
Aggressive panhandling.
Exactly. We do have that really
Well,
bad
isn't
in
that
our
a
city.
crime, aggressive panhandling? I think it is in Santa Monica, where I used to be.
If a person calls and says, I'm scared for my life, it's like subjective.
Right.
Because, there's all kinds of people who call, I'm scared for my life, and then the officers get there, and you pretty much wasted their time, But for people who are walking into there, a lot of guys are on Facebook are saying, I'll never send my wife to the store because, the wife is afraid to go into the store because they've been aggressively approached to, give money and stuff like that. And so we've already tightened them a little bit because with CityNet, we allocated money for 40 beds in our hotels.
Right.
And so we tightened it a little bit, and now we're just educating the officers on these new ordinances so they can go out and kind of and be a little more stronger. But at the same time, we're trying to partner with the county so they could bring something in here to also help with the 80% who want to get off the street. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you're saying that most homeless don't want to be homeless. That's a misconception.
Yeah, and the longer they stay on the street, the harder it's going to be to get them off.
Right.
They lose those skills.
Yeah.
Well, now we recently had a tour of our homeless facility at Menlo and State. I understand. How did you find that? How did you find the building and the services and what they're doing for the local homeless over there?
Are you talking about Valley Restart?
No, but across the street.
Okay, so the mental health building.
Yes.
So
The
they
rural
are
mental
not.
health.
They are not like for the homeless. They are for if you have to get services from them. You have to meet medical necessity of some kind of moderate to severe. Bipolar, schizophrenia, any kind of high level disorder to get services from them. The place that I have goes from mild to moderate.
Right.
So we deal with a little more
We
a
need
softer
both.
set.
And I guess we need both.
Yeah, and so if they build this recovery center, that will move into there, so that they want a one-stop shop place because what they're finding is that some of the barriers to getting these people help is, okay, so you come, so you sleep here in this building, you got to go to the doctor over here across town.
Yeah.
How do we know you're going to come back?
Well, they give them. Then they feel like they're getting the runaround.
Yeah, and so then they go out. They have to get a ride or somehow get to this doctor over here.
Right.
you got the dentist down here, and then we want you to go to mental health across the street down here, and so they're trying to put it in one place so that the person
Don't
never
have
has
to
to
go
leave.
all over town. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them don't have cell phones. They don't have money. Right now, isn't the bus fare at 25 cents this month, the next month? I saw, I think a flyer.
They rolled it back
you
to those.
provided.
To the quarter ride.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Now, talking about homeless too, I've noticed that the city has came up with a new rule against the fires. Now I've noticed that they are actually making it legal for the homeless to have warming fires now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we actually noticed there was one lady sitting at the bus stop there on Florida and San Jacinto Avenue, and she had 2 candles going. She had a shopping cart right beside her full of trash, and she was just sitting there burning the trash. And I mean, she had it blazing up real good, you know. And you know, PD said that they actually now make it to where it's legal for them to have warming fires as long as there's no vegetation around or any type of structure that could catch fire.
Yeah.
So,
And there's nothing you can, right? As legislation gets passed, it's like, folks, we have to pay attention to what we're allowing to be passed.
Right.
Because then next thing you know, you don't have any say-so in anything. You know?
How can we prevent that? How can we have more say-so? How can citizens in Hemet have more say-so in what you on the city council do?
At this point, we're really trying to reestablish the trust with the citizens because they're pretty much fed up with us with the way everything's been running. I mean, the city of Hemet has went through something like 12 city managers over the last 10 or 11 years or something like that.
12
and 11.
How do you even? Who cares? We came up with the vision and mission statement. If we can't keep a consistent city manager, you know what I mean?
Never
Who's going to
gonna fix
leave?
the problem,
Well, how long
right?
has our city manager been in there? It's over.
2018.
Well, so he's
he's
hanging in
he's
there.
been in there the
he's the
longest
longest,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's sort
And
of
he's-
broken that cycle.
I say he's the best city manager. Every time I get on one of these panels, right, WRCOG or something like that, or RTA, I say we have the best city manager literally in the world because we do. He's very knowledgeable. He's strategic.
And Chris Lopez has lasted longer than anybody has.
Yeah,
So.
I don't have I don't have experience in here, but he seems to be doing a good job to me. You know, like I don't have something to measure him against.
Right.
Well, I think
But-
the press feels that way too, and we have a good city manager in San Jacinto. So Rob Johnson's doing a good job up there.
Yeah. It's
Well-
good. I'm happy for the city of Hemet, and I'm proud to live here. I love the city, and I just want to see it. I want to see when I was running, I want to see everybody kind of get along and kind of dismiss this. You do you, and you stay over here in your house, and don't talk to your neighbors. I want some kind of
More of a community
yeah,
unites
you know,
together,
'cause-
survives together.
because they talked about I spent time with this lovely woman named Penelope.
Oh yeah,
Penelope
Penelope,
Engard,
yes.
Right? And she tells me all these stories about things that have happened in the past and how they used to get together and like I don't know if you guys remember like the stock farm where they used to get they have the races there and then
Right.
that was like I guess that was the place where they used to trek from here to Idlewild and everybody would come together at this one spot and they'd have like the
rodeos.
no those when all the farmers get the farmers fair, right?
Oh,
They
yeah,
would have
big
like
farmers fair. Yeah, they had it here.
and it was like so they would attract other people from other surrounding cities and sell things off and then they created an economy here, right? And then it just kind of
Boom.
yeah. And it's I want to see Hemet get back to something like that where it's like where we can live up to the Hemet is heaven, right?
Rejuvenate that name.
Yeah.
Well, you seem to have a little bit of an interest in history. I noticed you were talking to Penelope, and in some of your speeches, you've entertained people with interesting things, like the first Sears Center over there with Social Security.
What was that guy's name who did the Kid Stars, or Kids Say the Darnest Things?
Art Linkletter.
I think she was telling me he started one of the mobile home
He
communities
started
here,
the
right?
first one. She said
The
he
first
started
one?
The first one.
That's a
Yeah.
that's a art
Art
Linkletter.
Yeah.
Isn't that's a cool fact,
Right,
And then you hear
exactly.
things about like Mr. Whittier, right? And Mayberry getting together. So Whittier is the banker, right? And
Yeah.
then Mayberry is the architect.
Yeah.
And then Whittier sets it up to where he gives money to all the or land to all the
Land.
churches, so the churches could build, right? And so that establishes at least your morality, right? And then, so to speak, and then with his help, because he bought 3,000 acres here for $1 each acre. And with his help, he was able to kind of start off some of the stock farm and just kind of loaning out money to different families here. And just kind of like listening to all that history and kind of seeing how it's very fascinating, and to see it kind of where it is today, I could see how like the people who have been here for generations could feel some type of way about how it is today, and I think as the council that's right now, we have a really good leadership, and we can change that trajectory, which we're doing. And so it's slow coming, but it's like kind of give it a couple years, because you don't really see anything happening in
Right.
government for a couple years, and all of a sudden, oh, there's a road here, or oh, there's a, but it was decided on 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
Exactly. And that's another thing I want to bring up too. A lot of people complain about the council. They complain about, oh, this needs to be done, this should be done, da da da. And a lot of people are doing this on social media where it doesn't really count. And we try to encourage people, if you want to get that, took care of, or solve that issue or bring up those issues, you guys meet twice a month, and it's an open council meeting, and you're have the opportunity to have 3 minutes to actually speak to the mayor and the council with your issues, that you guys can actually do something about it or look into it,
or even just bring it up. There's sometimes when you guys bring it, when citizens come and they bring stuff up. For example, I think her name is Jerry Ann Franklin. She's over in that Hemet Lakes area, and all their members were talking about how they need a sidewalk from the Hemet Lakes to Target, and they were able to collaborate with the county, or not the county, Caltrans, to make that happen. And so that's like, when they bring it up to us, we reach out, and then they make things happen.
But you
know what
can't
I mean?
do that if those
you
people don't come to the
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
Now, when is these meetings held so people know when they can come?
So just think every second and fourth Tuesday of every month. Unless we're talking about November and December, and then
Right.
it's usually just the second.
Second and fourth Tuesdays.
Yeah,
And what time do you
7.
start?
So you
7
can
o'clock?
be there at 7. When you come in, there are speaker cards that you can fill out, and you can either talk about things that are on the agenda or things that are not on the agenda. I will let you guys know that the way that the meetings are run is we are not allowed to answer you, and sometimes that makes people upset because they're thinking like we're ignoring them and don't have anything to say. Sometimes we could break some of the procedures, and sometimes we might comment on things, but for the most part, we're not necessarily supposed to answer.
But you can comprehend and take care of it, talk about it later
Yeah,
within
and
a
usually
closed meeting.
somebody will reach out to you for more information and things like that. So it's not like we're ignoring you. When your speaker card comes up, I'll write some notes about what you talked about, and then I'll have someone from the staff reach out to you to answer whatever question you brought up.
Well, there's a law in the state of California that you can't, in a city council meeting, talk about anything that isn't on the agenda. And that's one of the reasons that you can't comment on things, because people come up and they talk about, like that gentleman that was talking the other time about all the noise in the building that was going on behind his development that he promised it wasn't, and then it all happened. Well, that wasn't on your agenda, so if you comment on it, then you're violating the law.
Yeah.
But I have seen you accommodate people, because I've seen you pass notes to the city clerk and say, we'll get in touch with you, or send him this ordinance. And so you're doing the best you can to get around that restriction and accommodate people when you can.
Yeah. You just got to be creative.
Well, another question I got for you, Mayor Malcolm, is since you're now our new mayor here in Hemet, what is your immediate plans for the city? What are you planning to do?
I want to address some of these areas that have a lot of crime, and I'm not going to get into specific details because I don't want the opposition to know. So I'll just say this. I'm trying to address certain areas to make them look like there's an apartment complex on Fruitvale and State, and if we can get some of these other areas to look like that with that same type of management, then I believe we'll see less crime in specific areas that have high crime.
Right.
Does that make sense? And then again, that puts less strain on our officers, which allows them to focus more on proactive work, which sometimes they get a few minutes to do that, but then they're on another call, you know? But that's a main focus. Another focus is we're trying to see if we can partner with the county, other agencies to get the 79 realignment. That's really big on my radar because that's not only going to be good for Hemet, but also San Jacinto, this entire valley, right? Because we have traffic from San Diego and traffic from Indio that comes and uses Sanderson. And so that'll relieve Sanderson of all that traffic if there is a realignment.
So could you explain, because a lot of people
don't understand what the
that
realignment means.
So, if you were to Google 79 realignment, you would see that from Winchester, I believe, so it's Winchester and Domingonia, a little bit back from that intersection, it's going to be kind of like a thoroughfare that goes all the way to Lambs Canyon. And there'll be like exits off of like, you could say like Esplanade,
7th Avenue.
you know what I mean? Like some exits to get
Major
off,
streets.
right? But what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the traffic that usually uses that thoroughfare off of it. And then another thing it could also help with is because now trucks would be able to get in and out of Hemet really quickly, right? Because they'll have access to a more faster thoroughfare. Some of your bigger organizations might come here, so we might get more bigger box stores or some, you know what I mean? Because they can get their trucks in and out easier. Once one of the biggest complaints is they can't get, and then our streets aren't really can't handle that type of weight all the time.
They're not designed for that weight.
And so, cause they're already struggling with CR&R's trucks. You know what I mean?
Well, some people, is the 70, is the realignment, are they realigning an existing street, or are they putting in a completely new north-south freeway?
Completely new.
Okay, so it's not,
Well,
it's a
so the
misnomer
yeah.
to say it's realignment, because it's
Well,
not, it's a whole new throughway that they're dropping in.
You're technically right. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to realign Winchester, so Winchester, they want people not to drive on Winchester, and they don't want people to drive on Warren.
Oh, okay.
So it's like they're trying to realign something, the road in between, so that those roads can be relieved.
Yeah.
You know?
It sounds like they're really redirecting the traffic onto this new road that's coming in.
Yeah.
But it is not clearly understood.
And we're
by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Good
It's
to
been like there's a couple of balls that were dropped, right? So people complain about the post office and the traffic that because people were coming in and out of the post office. They were going to move it.
The Hemet post office.
Mm-hmm. But when 9/11 hit, everything fell through. And so then no one talked about it no more. And so we're trying to focus on that. We're not as a city, but some of us council members are trying to focus on it, right? And then some of us council members are trying to focus on the 79 realignment because we think that moving the post office, but then the post office is interesting because the post office now has so much competition, UPS, FedEx, that it doesn't really make sense to spend all this money to move it if nobody's really utilizing their services.
Exactly.
Does that make sense? So that's another barrier. But you know, just be creative, positive attitude, and maybe talk to another person. You know what I mean? Same thing with the realignment is it just doesn't have the funding. The engineering's there, the environmental impact's there. It just doesn't have the funding. So if we can get a representative like Brian Hawkins, right? He's running for Congress.
Or Washington.
I'm thinking for the federal level. So if he gets into, you know, Congress, we have his ear because we know him, which he could bring federal dollars back that could actually fund the realignment.
Why doesn't
You know what I mean?
Ruiz is already in Congress. He represents us. Why isn't he bringing the money in?
I don't know. You know,
Maybe
it's
we
not
should
on
get
his-
him in.
It's not on his radar or something like that, or we're not loud enough to him.
Yeah.
You know what I
right.
mean?
That's where citizens could get involved.
Yeah, and so you know, and that's another thing too is like if you're reaching out to your legislators, like another legislator, Rosalie Ochoa, she wants to know what's happening in the valley. You know what I mean? And we always report out to her what's going on so that she could fight for dollars to come this way. But if we're not talking to them,
We're forgotten.
yeah.
That's it.
And we're kind of cut up right here with San Jacinto,
Yeah.
East Hemet.
Yeah.
We're kind of cut up with some of these districts, but citizens can still call their legislators and emails and just bug them. Just just like how you would come to our meetings
Right.
and bug them until something gets done.
That's it. That's the only way to do it.
Now,
Well,
Malcolm,
Dennis, do you have any
another-
other questions?
I just want to bring up something. Besides being the mayor of Hemet, you also adopted a new role recently. You were elected president of the Human Relations Council. And I have a little brochure here to show everybody the Human Relations Council. They have a major program that they've had for over 20 years, a Black History Month essay contest. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and what your plans are for the future?
The immediate plan is to grow the group. I like their philosophy that it's about unity and people kind of getting along and figuring out how we could work together even despite our differences. And so one of the programs that they have right now is the Black History Month essay, and we've promoted it, and its deadline is what, March 25th. And so if you write about someone who's African American or someone of Black descent in an essay form, you can also do a presentation about it. So with the essay, you have to do a presentation, right?
Well, the people who write the essays about a famous a person they admire, a Black person in medical this year, because we put the focus on medicine, but we judge the essays when they come in.
Yeah.
We select the first place, second place, and third place winners.
And the winners present.
And then the winners present, and then the best presenter gets an award.
Yeah.
So it ends up being 12 awards, 3 for second and third for middle school, high school, and
Yeah.
college.
And the interesting thing is, from what I've seen, there should be more Black people writing, but we don't see that.
You noticed that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did too.
We don't. And nothing against everyone else, but it's like
Right.
we should. And a lot of us don't even know our own history.
That was part of the whole concept, I think, here
Yeah.
at the beginning, was that by having an essay contest that focused on famous Black Americans. These are Black Americans. These
Yeah.
are Black South Americans.
Yes.
That people will educate themselves.
Yes. So that's So that's a group I'm trying to figure out how to grow, and see if we can get that real strong, so we can do more things in the community, just like all these other groups. More different types of even extend it more, not just the Black history, maybe Asian history.
Sure.
Or Asian
Mexican American history.
Yeah. Pacific Islander.
Filipino history. Pacific Island history.
Yeah. And so that's pretty much the goal this year
When
is
do
to
the
expand
Human
that.
Relations Council people meet, and how do they meet?
They meet the third Thursday of every month
Mm-hmm.
at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and
Is that a Zoom
to find
meeting?
a
Is that a Zoom meeting?
yeah,
Yeah.
on Zoom, and it would be humanrelationscouncil.com to find even the link would be on there.
It's the only nonprofit that I know that has a .com instead of a .org.
Right.
It's
That's
a
the first I've
nonprofit,
seen too.
But it's humanrelationscouncil.com.
Yeah.
So Malcolm, do you have any message that you want to give our citizens of Hemet as the mayor?
So with our strategic plan, so if you were to go on to, and it's interesting because it doesn't pull up the same way if you go on the Hemet's website on your phone. So when you're on a mobile application, it's not as easy to navigate, and so that's something I kind of noticed today, which we have to work on. But if you're sitting at a desktop and you type in hemetca.gov, over to the far right you would see the strategic plan. The strategic plan will tell you all the goals, highlight the mission, the vision statement,
That's
the
this right
five,
here,
the five priorities that we're focused on that include quality of life, economic opportunity, community engagement, organizational effectiveness, and then partnership and collaboration. When you click on it, at the bottom of the first page, it's going to give you a link to a document that will then show you where we're at as far as the progress in the strategic plan, which is really cool because you'll see what has been done. So if you're like, what has the city been doing? You'll see things like if you click on quality of life, you'll see where things that you'll see like a barometer, like a meter, and it'll show you like, okay, we're this far, we're like either the project's completed or it's like 55%, and it'll just kind of show you where you're at. And I think that's a really cool, like something you can kind of every month, because it'll be updated every month. So
Something
every month you
similar
can
like
kind of
this
check
right
it out.
here.
Yeah, and it'll tell you what we've been doing, are the goals, and it'll even tell you if there's barriers, and it'll give you an explanation on what's holding it up. So if you're ever wondering what's holding a specific project up, it'll give you some information about that too, which kind of goes towards our transparency goal.
Yeah,
we're
more
trying to be
accountable
yeah.
to the public.
Yeah, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're measuring it, and that's what the strategic plan is all about. Is here are our goals, City of Hemet. This is how we're going to measure it, and then we're going to almost hold ourselves accountable with the metrics each year. And so if things can be repeated, they'll start over. If it's like a type deal, it'll just kind of fall off, and something else will be, until one day you look around and you're like, it's really beautiful here.
Again.
Yeah.
Again, that's good. I
Yeah.
like the way you
Not
put
just
that
the
again.
poppies.
Yeah.
And together we can do this as a team, as a community. It's just not depending on the mayor or the city council to do this. It should be involved all of us as a community.
It sounds
'cause-
like the job is just too big for a city government without citizen participation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I tell
Requires-
people all the time. A city that unites together will survive together. We should look out for our neighbors and not at our neighbors.
Yeah. And then another thing too is, so when you know people like that on a more personal level, then we can hold each other accountable and say, hey, why are you going into Target and taking stuff? Because we'll know some of these people, right?
Right.
And we can hold each other accountable. Like this is not a good look,
Right. Plus the fact there's probably a lot of things that you would like the citizens to help you do with some of these projects, like maybe graffiti removal. It doesn't always have to be city employees out there removing the graffiti. Can't the citizens maybe help out in that area?
So I believe it's Luke's house.
House Luke.
House of
of
Luke.
Luke.
Yeah, House Luke Ministries.
Have in another place, if you were to go to the maybe partnership and collaboration under strategic plan I was telling you about with the link, you'll see where we've partnered with 2 organizations, one of them being House of Luke. I can't remember the other one. I apologize for that. But they're going to handle our graffiti.
Really?
Yeah. So the agreements have been finalized, I believe, and they're just kind of working on some things. And so you'll see some stuff getting cleaned up. What else has been helping with the graffiti too is See Click Fix. So people will take a picture of graffiti, potholes, whatever the illegal dumping, and when they give that to the city, then the city knows, oh, there's something we can do over there.
Yeah, let's elaborate real quick before we end this. See Click Fix is an app that you can download on your phone. Joe Mails actually covered a little bit of it in our interview with him. And it's an app that if you see something, it's basically say something and they'll get something done. And it's this app, you take a picture of it, it actually shows your GPS location, it'll pop it up in the address form, you know, like abandoned cars, trash left somewhere, or, you know, something that just needs city attention. And you just put in a brief description on what's going on, and it sends it out to the council and people that can actually get something done. And then it actually shows you the stats of the progress of that case that you sent in, so you can either see if somebody's working on that or if it's been completed. So that's a real good app, folks, that the cities came up with. It's S-E-E, Click, C-L-I-C-K, and then Fix. So make sure you download that app, and it's very a good tool that the city's made for you guys.
That's for Hemet?
For Hemet.
Well, C-Click Fix is actually it's utilized by cities all over the United States.
I see.
But, you know, when you download the app, you put in what city you in, and then it automatically sends that stuff to that particular city.
And one thing I will tell you is make sure you send the picture or whatever you took at the location. Don't get home and send it, because then they'll come to your house.
Exactly, because the GPS location will show there. So do it at the scene. Hit the submit, go in there, take your picture, fill out your information, and do it while you're there. Like Mayor Malcom said, don't go to your house, because then it's going to send your house GPS location, and you're not going to get it fixed. So
Well, that graffiti strategy that you took of getting people involved to help you, aren't you trying that also with Adopt a Block and doing the same thing?
Yeah. So again, if you ever have a chance, you go onto the City of Hemet's face page. There is a story on there about Adopt a Block program that we've finalized. That if your organization is interested in, I believe you have to sign up for a 3-year commitment.
Yeah, it is 3.
So you can't
can
go in there and adopt a block and do it for 1 week and quit.
Yeah. When it comes to, like, again, this is a template, right? So your organization could essentially negotiate with the time. It's set for 3 years right now, but I'm pretty sure you can negotiate. And so again, like, this stuff is like brand new. Like, you know, our staff hasn't.
It's a new program.
Yeah. And so if your organization is interested in adopting a block somewhere, by all means, sign up, and then you'll be responsible for that area.
Does it cost you money to do that? I mean,
It's going to cost,
Gas money.
yeah, because but then at the same time, you can, so that's where the agreement comes in. You can ask the city for if you need trash bags, gloves,
yeah.
some supplies and stuff like that. The city would help you with that. So again, it's not rushed, so you'll need to plan out the time, because it might take you a month to get the supplies, as we only cut checks on certain days.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good program. It's a new program.
Yeah.
Now, before we end this, I do want to, this wasn't actually in our notes, but, you know, we were discussing this before we came on live stream with you, Malcolm, is there, excuse me for laughing, folks, but it's ridiculous. People has been, I don't know where they're getting their source of information, and I know you know where I'm going with this. A lot of people saying, when Carly Meyer was the mayor, oh, Carly Meyer, you know, the mayor makes $200,000 a year, blah, blah, blah. you as the mayor, and we know that's not true because I mean $200,000 only.
This is
You know,
half of the president.
exactly? How much do you guys make? I mean, as far as being city councilman and mayor, I want to clear that up because a lot of people, you know, they talk through their booty hole instead of their mouth hole, and then with common sense.
Yeah.
How much does the mayor and city councils make when they're in office? And you can go estimate, or you know, if you don't have to have the
Every-
exact figures,
Or
but
tell us what's in your paycheck.
yeah, tell us
I
what's
wish
in
I
your
had the
paycheck,
stub.
what's
I
in
wish-
your wallet.
There's
You
the
know?
stub.
I wish I had the stub, but maybe I could screenshot of a picture. But in my bank account, it says $252 every 2 weeks.
That don't
From
sound
the-
like $200,000.
So lands in your bank account.
That's what 252 every 2 weeks.
Wow. What about city councilmen's?
It's the same.
It's the same.
not
So
even different.
it don't even matter if you're mayor or
No.
city councilman.
No.
So
Nothing extra.
where's the $200,000 you're getting then? I mean,
I don't. I wish.
You haven't found it
right?
yet.
I just wanted to clear that up.
But
because-
I did see something online, and they had a screenshot.
Right.
So some website out there said that the city of Hemet officials are getting 190,000, but I believe the most a city council member has ever received from Hemet is 1,000
wow.
a month, and then you got Temecula down here doing 22,000.
Well, I wanted to clear that up because I know a lot of people's been saying that rumors that you guys make more money than the president does, and I see different. And I'm like, wow, you know.
$252. I'll give him a screenshot.
We'll post it in the comments, you know. So,
Maybe I'll email him a pay stub.
and you guys couldn't pay me enough to do with the bullcrap that you guys deal with. I mean, I've seen Carly Meyer go through a lot of stuff,
yeah.
the political stuff that you guys deal with. You just could not pay me enough. I mean, it's
But the thing about it is from at least from my heart, I hear what you're saying, but it's for me, it's more about serving.
right.
So, and some people look at me like, "Oh, you're the mayor" and things like that, but it's like I'm serving you guys. You know what I mean? I'm your representative, especially for District 3. So I'm their voice.
Now, you just mentioned District 3. San Jacinto represents everybody at large, so you can go to any city councilman, but Hemet has a different setup, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's broken up by districts.
Yeah. And so there's 5 districts. My district is, if you follow me for a second, it's if you drive down Stetson towards Riverside, make a right onto Warren, a right onto Florida, a left onto Costin, a right onto Menlo, a right onto Lyon, left on Whittier, right on Palm, and that square is it's not a square, but it's kind of like, looks like Texas upside down.
That's what it sounds like.
There's the green hat in the picture.
Yeah, and then you got District 5 that is like it has Seven Hills and Mustang, so it has West Valley, and it borders me, and also borders Linda's district, which is State Street.
Linda Krupa.
Yeah, so
Council.
so it's like from Stetson all the way to the dam, and then Warren, and then State Street is Joe Mail's area. And then you have Linda Krupa that all the way down from Domnagoni all the way up State, and she kind of cuts in, like borders me, where I told you on Lyon. So she goes all the way to Lyon, up to Florida, all the way over to and hers is like a key, so I can't tell you
Well, hers looks more like a gerrymandered district than anything
Yeah.
else I've ever seen. But
Yeah.
what's the point of these districts? If somebody is in a district, does that mean they're supposed to go to you instead of another
Yeah.
district
So
city council?
I mean, you can call any council member, and then we would just especially if you emailed us, we would just send your correspondence to the
That proper
right.
district.
Yeah.
right? So if you sent me something, and I found, and you told me where you lived at, and it's Carly's district, I would forward your correspondence to Carly, and then she could talk about whatever it is your concerns were. but I get questions all the time from people all over the city, and a lot of times I'll just answer them myself, and so it's not like even other council members are answering themselves too. So it's not like you only have to talk to your district, but it is.
If you know the answer,
Yeah.
let them know. You know?
Do you feel that it gives you better information about a small part of Hemet because you're able to concentrate in one district rather than having everybody at large be responsible,
Yeah.
like in San Jacinto for the whole city?
Yes. Well, the whole district thing came about because we got so big, you know, and they wanted to make sure that certain demographics were represented. At our last, or maybe like 4 council meetings ago, we had the representative from the state come talk about our districts and see if we could redo the lines and the borders of the districts. But it found out that we were already under the 10 points needed to make a decision on. If we had been higher than 10 points, we had to change our lines somehow, and we allowed people to play with the lines, but we couldn't get it a major minority district out of our existing landscape. And because the way the landscape is of Hemet, it was hard to kind of really. So we just decided to leave it the same.
Yeah, you said
know?
you kept the same.
Yeah.
And you were within the state limitations as far as representing each minority to be able to. And
Yeah.
I think for most people that was a good thing for Hemet because
They
you get-
barely know.
You get to know your
Yeah.
your councilman.
And people, and that was another thing. Reason why we decided to keep it the same too is because people barely know about the districts, and some, you know what I mean. Like, so even some people are like, "Oh, when did you get elected as mayor?" And I have to explain that we're a it's like they call it a weak mayor city or a council led city, where the council appoints the mayor, and the mayor's more of like a ceremonial position. You know,
Right.
like so I just run the meetings and things like that. I'm the face for him, but I'm not like the type of mayor in L.A. and San Diego.
Right, you're an honorific, more of what they call an honorific mayor.
Yeah. So
Okay. Well, we're about to run out of time here, so
Big government
Dennis,
lesson. Yeah.
you want to go ahead and wrap this up, Dennis, since we're about to run out of time?
Well, I want to thank you, Mayor Malcolm Lilienthal, which many people affectionately now call you Mayor Malcolm, for coming down here and spending this time in this open-ended interview. We are going to put it together a timeline for this so that when we get it posted up, people will be able to find out where their favorite subject is and go to it more quickly. And Eddie, do you want to explain what we're going to do with this material, when it's going to come up, where they can find it?
Well, it will be located on HemetEyeNews.com. That's Hemet, E-Y-E, like the lazy eye, news.com. Also on our YouTube channel under the crazy guy with a lazy eye.com. And then, of course, we do ask everybody, if you will, please share this video and let everybody else that's on your friends list know what our mayor has to say. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can comment your comments down below when all of our videos go out to all of our platforms. And I know Mayor Malcolm, you will be watching the
monitor
comments.
them, and
Exactly.
if you have more questions, I'll
free to
answer as best as I can.
And you have your own Facebook page.
Yeah,
don't
you can also you can look up Mayor Malcolm Lilienthal, and subscribe to that because I give city updates, and so and things coming and things. I just try to advertise as much as I can, and so if you follow me on there, you'll be updated about new and old business.
Good. That's a good information source.
That's it.
Well, thank you again for spending your time with us, Mr. Mayor, and we look forward to interviewing other members of the City Council. After you can go back and tell them it wasn't such a bad experience.
Right? We didn't beat you up
It
too
was like
bad
getting
with the
a
gotcha
shot.
questions.
Yeah.
So, Mayor, I really appreciate your time. We actually look forward to having you in here twice a month. That way you can give your updates, and everything, and follow any other questions that people have and update those in those videos. And we definitely look forward to that. And before I end this, I do want to end this saying, our studio is provided to us by Cops for Kids. You can check out all of our information through Cops for Kids on what they do for our community. It's called Cops for Kids and Communities, and their website is C4, the number 4, KC.org. So make sure you go check that out. We have a list of different classes that we do vocational through the sponsorship of Learn for Life. And Learn for Life, actually, we have security guard card training here. So people that want to actually get your security guard cards, you can do that here. Armed guard card training. We also do dog grooming training. We do graphics arts. We do video production, photography. Just a list of all kind of stuff that they do here. And we actually teach the students this vocation, and then we work with networked businesses that are always looking for good employees, and once they graduate from our communities here, we send them out and get them jobs. So it's a good organization that Cops for Kids do, and they sponsor us and give us a nice facility to be able to host our studio here. So they're actually having a huge fundraiser coming up. Everybody always heard of the Southern California Battle of the Badges. It's an event. It's a boxing event, so all you boxing fans out there, you definitely want to check this out. They normally do it over at the casinos, but this year we're going to be hosting it on May the 27th at the Ramona Bowl Amphitheater this year. And tickets are going on sale as we speak, and we do ask everybody to share all of our promos for Cops for Kids. Any videos that I put out, I'll be watching with my lazy eye, because when you share, I'm just going to be randomly picking out names and giving away free tickets to this event. So for more information of the Battle of the Badges, I will go ahead and bring that up at the end of our live stream right here, and make sure that you mark your calendars for May the 26th.
It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye, Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye, Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye, Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye, Hemet Eye News. He's moving through the city with the camera in his hand, keeping our city informed as much as he can. In the city where we live, breaking news from left to right. Time for us to come together. He's the ears and eyes at night. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye, Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye, Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye, Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye, Hemet Eye News. Media's 97 on ActionEyeNews.com, CNET.com, bringing it to you live. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. He's moving through the city with the camera in his hand, keeping our city informed as much as he can. In the city where we live, breaking news from left to right. Time for us to come together. He's the ears and eyes at night. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. Media's 97 on ActionEyeNews.com, CNET.com. Bringing it to you live. Yeah, we got the story on ActionEyeNews.com. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. He's moving through the city with the camera in his hand, keeping our city informed as much as he can. In the city where we live, breaking news from left to right. Time for us to come together. He's the ears and eyes at night. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. It's the crazy guy with the lazy eye. Hemet Eye News. Media's 97 on ActionEyeNews.com, CNET.com. Bringing it to you live.